Have I told you that this project I'm doing, this 100 Conversations Challenge, is somehow connected to a book that I'm going to write that I'm sort of writing right now? I don't know if I've told you that, but it is. And so this is part of what I'm working on. And it's so funny to do something this way because I really have no idea what I'm creating. I don't know what it's going to look like. I'm just sort of doing it and noticing what seems to want to happen, what doesn't, and going from there and letting it unfold organically. So there's something kind of scary, but also relieving about that process. It's kind of like I don't have to figure it out. I don't need to know exactly where it's going, and that's a big relief, and it's very different from the way I've done things in the past. Well, I've been working on sort of inspiration articles or essays for this book to kind of figure out what the message is that I'm really wanting to share during some writers' retreats that I've been taking. And a mentor of mine who I just absolutely love to pieces, and he's been such an inspiration and support for me over the years, said to me as I was reading some things that were really kind of vulnerable. And he said, it's great that you're vulnerable and you're sharing your story, but we need to know that you've figured this stuff out. You need to be our hero in this book because we need to know that you've cracked the code, you've figured it out, you have something to teach us. And I thought about that and I said, that's true. Who wants to learn from somebody who says I have no idea what I'm doing, right? But something about that just doesn't jive right now because I find that the more I write about this, the more questions I have. This whole process is about asking powerful questions. It's about asking myself things that I don't have the answer to. And maybe there isn't a hard and fast answer. There's just an answer that reveals itself to me. And so that seems really important to keep asking those questions. And I want to share a quote with you from Rainer Maria Rilke. And hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. I actually looked up how to pronounce that before I said it, just so that I wouldn't look like too much of an ass. This is the quote. "Be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves, like locked rooms and like books that are now written in a very foreign tongue. Do not now seek the answers, which cannot be given you, because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day into the answer." So I'm living the questions. I may never answer them, and that's okay. So I'd like to ask you today, what is the most powerful question you could ask yourself? Just sit with that question for a moment. What is the most powerful question for you today? And then ask yourself that question. Write it down and let it go. And live the question. Don't focus on an answer. Trust that when the time is right, it will come.